So proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the path.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Network. I am Gary. We are here live with you, live and in color, with you to talk some politics and talk about some freedom and things of that nature. We're very glad that y'all joined us this evening, this rainy, I don't know where you're tuning in from, whether you're online or whether you're right here in Northbridge, but it's raining, it's cold. We're told it's going to freeze over. I mean, it's crazy. The weather people are, and it's good. We want to know. We get it, and it's very dangerous. You should absolutely be driving very slow as it gets later. Right now, obviously, it's not freezing because it's raining, so we know that. But as the night goes on, it is going to get icy out there, and please do be careful if you're out there traveling. But you would think that the world is coming to an end. Every time it does pretty much anything on the weather, it's just absolutely amazing to me, to be honest with you, how the weathermen, and boy, did they, this is the second time in a row that we've had schools canceled for what I would say is nothing. I mean, really, in all honesty, we all went to school, and these were the days where we woke up, looked outside, and went, oh, we got to go to school. We didn't even put on BZ. Remember putting on BZ in Massachusetts? Of course you do, and you would hope and pray that you would hear your town called, and that was the whole show. I mean, those people were doing a program, and that's all they did. All right, and here's the list. And it got to such a point. Now it's great on TV because they just scroll it across the bottom. And that's it. They don't have to run through and read all that stuff. Fantastic idea. Anyway, timorgary@gmail.com gets you right here into the old computer. You can get any opinion on any topic that you would like. We're at 508-266-0990. That's right on your screen. You can certainly call in. We pipe you right on in here. The old-fashioned way, right through the phone, right to the mic, right to the world. All the emails coming in, thank you very much. We weren't here. It's interesting. I've decided to call the Freedom Network. I'm going to take a page out of Bernie Sanders. That's what I'm going to do. And we're going to call the Freedom Network a safe place for freedom and the Constitution. That's what it is. This is a safe place for freedom and the Constitution. It's not a safe place for political correctness, though, because we blow that out of the water all the time. We'll do some of that tonight. We're going to talk about immigration. I've got some information I'd like to go over, and I'd like your take on it. We've had a lot of we had a lot of emails in the past month or so come in about people wanting to talk about immigration. It's a hot issue. We've got, it's all over the news. It's Pelosi, I think, is still on the floor talking about it. We can get into that a little bit. But it's really interesting how this debate has framed itself, how it's become such a monster issue, and it's really not, in my opinion, even an issue. Before we get into it, and I got a surprise guest for you, too, someone that has been on the Freedom Network several times, but not that recently. A little recently, but not that recently. And then prior to that, not recently at all. And we'll pick his brain, see what he's got to say. I am talking to Richard. Don't you worry. We will be having a gun show ASAP. Richard, if you're out there, let's try to book it for next week. We got to get another Second Amendment show going. Those are always fun, near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart. We just did one a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, we didn't have Richard here, but we will get him here. I I wasn't here last week. I was headed to New Orleans. Now, do you say New Orleans? Do you say New Orleans? Or do you say NOLA? NOLO. That's what they say. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Have you ever been to New Orleans? I mean, have you ever been? Because this is one crazy city, folks. I mean, I knew that it was going to be a crazy weekend when I got there and got settled and, went down to the watering hole at the hotel I was staying at, and I said, hey, you know what? Let me get a rum and coke. And the bartender looks at me and she says, "Is that for here to go?" I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. No one had ever asked me that question before. I mean, I'm from Massachusetts. You can't move without a rule. Um, you just know you're in for a crazy weekend when that's the first question somebody asks you. I mean, it was parade weekend. And let me tell you, folks, they parade. When they parade, they parade. All right, we saw 11 parades. They had 11 parades in the city proper, not down on Bourbon Street, but in the city proper, that were amazing. I mean, these parades are not 5 minutes and it's by you. These parades are hours long, absolutely hours long. I mean, it is just amazing. The school kids, so many schools represented, cheerleaders and floats and beads flying around. It was absolutely just wild. Closing off streets is like nothing, like absolutely nothing in New Orleans. Unbelievable. We also did go to Villa Lobos, the pit bull rescue. I had talked about that and said we were going to go. We did go. I don't know. Maybe you saw the show on TV before. If not, it's a rescue for pit bulls. And they take a lot of other dogs in as well. And they have hundreds of dogs that have been either abused, abandoned, whatever the case may be. They all just seem to have one sad story after the next. But what an amazing experience. The dogs were so happy to interact. The weather could have been a little better when we were there. It was raining. But they didn't care. You know, they're dogs. We cared, but they didn't care. But, you know, to play around with us and have some fun. We spent some time, my wife and I. It was really a great experience. The staff there was solid. It was great. They have a pub downtown as well where we went. We got some food. And it's right near Bourbon Street. And they have a shop as well on the street where you can buy souvenirs and stuff. And, of course, it all goes to the rescue. It was a really good time. It really just was a lot of fun. It was just a real lot of fun. You know, I've never seen a bigger party, I will say, in my life than I saw. I mean, my voice, you can still hear. And one of the guys I was with lost his voice as well. And it it was just amazing. I mean, it was you're yelling, you're screaming, you have fun. It really was quite a time. Bourbon Street, forget about it. It's just an unreal, crazy party. And what's really funny is there's people all over the street. I mean, there's no sidewalk only in use, but the street, Bourbon Street itself, is open. So you can drive down it. Now, people don't. They avoid it like the plague because it takes a long time because nobody gets out of the way. I mean, you just have to go at the pace of the people that are walking. Nobody gets out of the way. Nobody. It was just really funny, really unusual, and just an unreal, crazy, like just one big party. Met some really great people. And we had a blast. So, I don't know. I just figured I would toss that out there, a little recap. What a time. Of course, we flew Southwest, so we were delayed coming home. Didn't get home until 4:30 in the morning. I think it was maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe about 4:30, my head hit the pillow, which was really good. Isn't it amazing how you just really have we were on a plane. It was the last flight out. Another plane was late, and they made us wait. Now, the plane wasn't so bad to wait for, but the luggage. We were sitting and waiting and sitting and waiting, and they came around, and they started to bring snacks and water. And the guy in front of me says, "Oh, this isn't a good sign if we're not even in the air, and you're bringing us snacks and water. I feel like we're going to be here a long time." And people weren't too happy. I wasn't too happy. We wanted to get home. Had a ride waiting, and it was, every 15 minutes you text, still sitting here, still sitting here, still sitting here. Now, I understand it's not Southwest per se. Southwest is like any airline, and they certainly have their, they all have their fair share of troubles, but it was just, and it was snowing. We were in Chicago at Midway, and it was snowing a lot. But the plows, amazing. How they keep the thing all cleared up. I mean, it was snowing really, really robustly, I would say. And they go down a runway with about 9 plows. One next to the other, next to the other, next to the other, like you see them on the highway. But they're obviously the runway's a lot wider. Anyway, they clear that thing off right down to the pavement. It was just unbelievable. Landing there, though, was a bit of a challenge. We had a nice one of those, where you bounce in, you come back, you go back down again, slowing down, hoping not to slide on it, because it was really like a nice little mini storm. I think what we have here today is the remnants of that came kind of across. Anyway, what am I? Now I'm a weatherman. See, I'm a weatherman too. Anybody can be a weather. Just say what you want. Doesn't really matter what happens. Who cares? All right, let's talk some politics. We're going to talk some politics. Nancy Pelosi, who we can touch on this, is she still speaking? She's done? She's done. Woo, we'll give her credit. She can speak. I'm sure she talked a whole lot and said a whole little, but she was talking about the Dreamers and the budget and getting it into the budget. Did they vote on the budget? All right, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I want to bring in our guest. I want to get into some immigration. Line up any questions, comments that you may have right at timagary@gmail.com. You can certainly call in. We're going to take a quick look at a video. When we come back, we will be here with our guest and some controversial talk on immigration.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally.
The President's decision to end DACA was heartless and it was brainless.
When we use phrases like undocumented workers, we convey a message to the American people that their government is not serious about combating illegal immigration.
Hundreds of thousands of families will be ripped apart.
If you don't think it's illegal, you're not going to say it. I think it is illegal and wrong.
Tens of thousands of American businesses will lose hardworking employees.
A biometric-based employer verification system with tough enforcement and auditing is necessary to significantly diminish the job magnet that attracts illegal aliens to the United States.
They may have known no other country but ours and have voluntarily registered themselves.
All illegal aliens present in the United States on the date of enactment of our bill must quickly register their presence with the United States government or face imminent deportation.
But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to send a message that is contrary to our laws or will encourage more children to make that dangerous journey.
With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case because there are laws on the books that Congress has passed. And I know that everybody here at Bell is studying hard, so you know that we've got three branches of government. Congress passes the law. The executive branch's job is to enforce and implement those laws. And then the judiciary has to interpret the laws. There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply, through executive order, ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president.
His appropriate role as president. I mean, just listen to him. He's telling you that what he did, this whole DACA thing, is insanity because he just told you why. He can't do that, but yet he did that, and here we are in this mess, and he did it with an ending date. The whole thing is a mess. It really and truly is. Let me bring in our guests. Let me slide you on in here. We have here with us Mr. Jim Barnicle.
Gary?
Back to the Freedom Network. You're a frequent flyer.
Yeah.
I see you've got
I'm carrying a little Super Bowl hangover.
a little Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, I'm trying to feel like Belichick must feel right now.
It really was a. Am I all right here? Yeah. One time I was flipped right off the back
Yeah.
of the chair. You
Oh,
can
did ya?
stop that from
I
happening.
don't want to. I like it.
You like
I
it?
like it, yeah.
You do.
I'm more of the
He's a
relaxed
loose,
guy.
flowing kind of guy. All right, we'll talk about the game for 30 seconds. I guess every TV show in the United States has talked about the game for 30 seconds, so maybe we will. It sucked. What do you want me to tell you, right? We
not
lost.
happy
It
about
was not fun. It wasn't okay. In any way, a guy at the place we were watching the game, which we watched, obviously, in New Orleans. New Orleans. I don't know how to say it. It's like the Caribbean or the Caribbean. It's one of those things. We don't know what to say. Anyway, he says to me like this. He says, listen, He said, I'm not going to feel bad for you. He said, you guys have won 5 Super Bowls in recent history. You have won world championships in basketball, in baseball, in hockey. And then he pauses and he goes, and didn't you do all that in 1 year, where you had all 4? And he goes, I'm not going to feel bad for you. And you know what? I kind of got to agree with him. I mean, we are fortunate to have the teams we have. So you know what? We'll see about next year.
We'll see about next year, but we can still feel the pain of this year.
Yeah, that was
regardless. I
painful.
mean, listen, we lived plenty of years where our
yes.
teams did not excel.
Oh, I remember being at parties at friends' houses where maybe we were, 18 years old, 19 years old, drinking, juice and things like that. And and a guy came by once, and a good friend of ours, and he's hanging out with us. And it was just about maybe 12. And we were living in Stoughton. We were at a friend's house that was in Stoughton, so going over to Foxborough is not that far. So maybe about 12 o'clock, he says, I guess I got to go. And everyone's like, where do you got to go? He's almost sad about it because we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And
I got tickets to the game.
I got tickets to the Pats game. Does anybody want to go? And there must have been 15 people there. No one wanted to go. And the funny thing was, he didn't go either. He never went.
Yeah,
he just wanted to hang out. They wound up sitting on the table, and at the end when we cleaned up from the party. Yeah, it was Sullivan Stadium. Yeah. When we cleaned up from the party, it just became part of the trash. So yeah, we know, guys our age know.
Do you realize our kids have no idea?
No, they have no idea.
Gary and I have children that are the same age, and they've lived nothing but Patriot glory their entire lives.
Right, they expect it.
Right.
They expect it, even with the Red Sox.
Right, exactly.
I mean, the Red Sox is even worse when you think about it, because we were so much more invested in the Red Sox. I mean, football just wasn't as big as it is now.
Right.
But my goodness, we have seen some bad sporting out there, all teams.
Right.
The Celtics probably the most consistently
back in our
with a chance existing in between the two slumps, because they had a nice slump in there as well.
Right.
I trust Danny Ainge, though. I do. I think he's good. He'll make the right decisions. He'll do the right thing. But this year's team is great. Although we did just get beat by the best team.
By 20 points, I believe.
Yeah, and they're the best team, or tied for the best team. We got more
Couldn't hear me?
audio coming in.
I guess we have more audio.
All right, wait, we got to start over.
Nobody wants to hear me anyway. Take this mic away.
That's funny, isn't it? Isn't it? But hey, that's what it is. That's what sports is, Jim. You win some, you lose some, you do what you got to do. I don't get now. What do you think about all the controversy? I guess we'll touch on that too, with the kneeling and all that stuff. Do you think that hurt the NFL?
I don't think so in the long run. I don't believe it did. You know,
No.
it had a little bit of short term, but people just some people may have turned their TV off for a couple of weeks, but then what are you going to do with your Sunday? So I'm sure the vast majority of anybody that left came back pretty quickly. So
I think so. I think the numbers that didn't. I know a few people on Facebook that I'm not watching it. But in all honesty, if I were to take the Facebook friends I have from posts that said I'm not going to watch it because of that.
right.
Now, some just don't watch it, and that's what it is. Some people just aren't into it. But because of that, I think it would be 3. I think there were 3 posts that I saw.
Sure.
So I don't know, but
It certainly had no long-lasting effects on, it is what it is.
no, the people, I think,
Like Bill Belichick said, it is what it is.
it is what it is. That is true. It very much so is what it is. Is he the coach still?
He's still the coach.
Is he gonna be the coach
good.
tomorrow?
It looks good for tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we got him for at least another year.
All right.
All signs are trending towards one more year at least.
One more year at least.
So, yeah.
It's an interesting.
But I do believe that's why we screwed over Indianapolis, and McDaniels ended up staying, because I do think that he's probably the future of the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, Kraft had some kind of talk with him, and
That's why I'm wondering.
he went from yes to no with Indy.
Well, and that's kind of what Bill did with the Jets, right?
yeah.
But that
Yeah,
was
he
a matter of
he was a
hours,
coach for
wasn't
a
it?
day. No, he was a coach for a day for the Jets, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like he was at a podium saying he's the coach of the Jets, and then he was like, I resign. How do you even resign from a position that you've only had for a number of hours? I guess that's what you have to do, though, officially. I mean, please, that
Is
was
this a
just,
sports show? What happened?
I know, right? It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. Nah, people want to talk some politics. That's what we will do. So we're going to talk about immigration. We'll talk about illegal immigration, a little bit about legal immigration. But, we just learned a few days ago. People always say, well, Jim, the illegal aliens are just here doing the jobs that Americans won't do. Mm-hmm. So I always say, well, my God, we must not have. I mean, we have anywhere between 11 and 20 illegal immigrants in the nation today. Some say as high as 25. I guess you don't really ever know. How do they census that?
Yeah, I don't know.
How would they possibly know? I don't know how they know. Probably that's who we pay benefits to.
And then there's more that we don't.
Right, exactly. But, in my opinion, anyway, we should be enforcing the laws that we have.
Right.
We have laws.
Sure.
Every country has laws.
Yeah.
We all, if you went to sneak into Mexico or Guatemala or Germany or England or Russia or Japan, you pick it. There's consequence to that.
For that. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
And they'd be searching for you to do so.
Yeah, and so I always say though that when we had 3 million illegal aliens, or maybe 1 million illegal aliens, or maybe even less, talking about these jobs that Americans won't do, did we not eat vegetables? Were there no farms? Were there no? Now people would say, well, now you're getting back into when they were slaves. So what about the time in between? Is that what brought the influx of illegals? Because I've heard that argument.
Sure.
Because Americans just won't do it. All right, you're a man. You have a family.
Right.
If there was no way to feed them, you do what you have to do to feed them.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that what we did is we allowed the maybe illegals to do it.
To keep our vegetable prices down.
To keep the vegetable prices down, maybe through cheap labor costs.
Yeah.
And that just causes regression in wages and everything else. It's almost like the opposite of inflation. Doesn't help anybody. But I can't believe that if we would, how do you remove illegals and really think that we won't eat, or we won't have farms, or we won't have people to pump gas at a full-serve station? I'm trying to think of examples that people use very often as to what they do that we don't want to do. Yeah. Wash dishes at a restaurant. So does that mean that dishes now, let's say in the North where there weren't slaves, okay, so were their dishes piled up? Is that what they were in the restaurants? They just didn't get done? Because nobody would do it. No self-respecting American's going to wash a dish, right? I mean, give me a break. I don't get that whole piece
Well, that's what
to the argument.
That's what a teenager's job should be anyway, right?
Absolutely. It should be a minimum wage, entry level.
Right.
You're coming in, you're starting to learn some work ethic. You probably lose the job because you show up late too much. And
Exactly.
then you say, whoa, I can't do that. And, that's why you pay little, invest a little.
But there's a
'cause
lot
you
of
get a little.
teenagers out there, so that's
Yeah, there are. It's a big,
it's
yeah.
a pretty big pool to draw from.
Sure it is. Sure it is. That's funny. That is funny. But, there's a lot of crime factors that come along with them. There's a lot of money factors that come along with them. We'll definitely talk about those. What do we got a call? We got a call coming in.
Okay.
Let's see what we got coming in. All right, if I remember this correctly, it's this button. And then I wait a second and I hit this button. And lo and behold, I should have somebody on the line. Welcome to the Freedom Network.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
I've heard this voice before.
I heard you talking about immigration.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going over my phone. I was looking through some stuff, and I found this article. A couple of days ago, a guy that plays for the Indianapolis Colts was killed in an accident.
Yeah.
He was in a Uber
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he got hit by an illegal alien in a pickup truck who was drunk driving.
Yes.
The guy that drove the truck has been deported 3 times.
I heard twice, but okay, we'll go with
And
with 3.
once he was arrested in California for the same thing. I don't know, some other state. Now he ended up in Indiana, and he killed somebody.
It's awful.
I don't, what people don't understand about illegal.
I don't know.
What I want to know is that a foreign truck or an American-made truck? That's what I want to
It
know
was
first.
a Ford.
No, your point is good. Your point's very valid. you know, I guess you could say to the question I was just talking about, maybe they come here to commit the murders that Americans don't want to commit.
I suppose maybe that happened.
That's better than the job one.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's from, I got a CBS story. The man that killed Edwin Jackson and his Uber driver, this was Sunday morning, was in the country.
That was the football player. That's the one.
That's the one. The guy, the illegal alien, was Manuel Orrego Savalava, something like that anyway. He was 37 years old. He killed a 26-year-old, that was Jackson, and a 54-year-old driver. His name was Jeffrey Monroe. It was on Interstate 70, and he was driving drunk, you're right. And he had been deported twice, it says here, according to the Indiana State Police. Police also said that this guy was at nearly 3 times the legal blood alcohol limit, which is .08 in Indiana.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
what are
less
they gonna
than
do
you
with
were
this
this
guy?
weekend in New Orleans, right?
Yeah. Oh, you know, you're absolutely right, caller. I mean, this is the indefensible part of allowing illegals to be here. There is no way to defend that at all. Someone is dead. I'm sure this guy's a father, a husband, a uncle, you know, a brother. It's disgusting.
Yeah, you know, last week, week before, when President Trump had his State of the Union, and he said the perfect line. He says, you know, Americans have dreamers too, and people, like, I don't know if anybody understood that, what he said. You know, they're always talking about the dark of their dreamers. Well,
Yeah.
we have dreamers here,
That's right.
our own people,
That's right. We sure do. We got our own
And
kids. Yep.
and we're putting them people ahead of us.
We are in some cases, and we're certainly putting them in front of our military. I mean, how do we have how do we have military retirees or you know, people that have been through the process that are living with no food, no shelter, in many cases in need of health care, in need of mental health care. But yet we have
And
money.
no one's standing up for them.
Right. Who's standing up for them? Why isn't Nancy Pelosi today for 10 hours or whatever the hell she was standing there for, yakking about why we should give illegals citizenship, basically? Why isn't she talking about getting rid of the illegals and taking that money and taking care of the vets?
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
just a couple
understand.
years-
I think she talked so long, the plastic on her face melted. Not sure.
I believe just a couple years ago she was talking about getting rid of the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she was. I don't know if she's on that
I got
video.
no problem with people coming to this country wanting to be Americans. I got
Sure.
no problem with that.
No, that's what
Well,
made it.
what I have a problem is when you put these people, they're illegal.
Yes.
And like, you know, that little clip you had about Schumer?
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't remember that.
No.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
He had a sudden memory loss.
Yeah, he don't want to remember it. Right. Right.
So I just thought I'd call and let you know I saw that and I was saying, but have you heard anything in the news? Nothing on the news, nothing about that guy.
No.
That
Very
guy
little.
is dead.
Very little. Very little. It's,
Oh, good
it's
show.
and it
Glad
probably
you're
only-
back on live here, so I'll let you go. And
It probably only made the news in the first place because it was a football player involved, you know?
yeah.
that's possible. That's
Yeah.
very possible.
That is.
Okay,
Hey,
well, have a good night.
thank you very much. I appreciate you being out there.
Okay,
All righty.
take care.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's just that easy, folks. You got something you want to say? Say it. Just say it. It always amazes me, doesn't it? Whoop, I just shut down the email. All right, I got it back. If you want to email in, you can. If you ain't got the guts to call, like this fine gentleman does,
He's your top caller, no doubt.
he calls us in.
regular. He's a
And
regular.
what about, where's my other friend? I haven't heard from him. Barry? Yeah, I
Where
haven't
are
heard
you,
from
Barry?
Barry.
Where
Barry,
are
if
you,
you're out
Barry?
there, what do you think? Let's see here. Hang on. We got an email coming in, Jim, before we go on. It says hello to me and you.
Hello.
Illegals have been the talk of our country for a long time, and nothing is being done. They've broken the laws of our country, and we shouldn't be protecting them. What the hell is wrong with our country and the people who are leading in Washington? They're supposed to be protecting us and not illegals. So wrong. Let's see. He goes on to say they have laws from the countries that they are from, and so do we. Call me heartless, but the parents who came here illegally should go back with their kids and come back legally like others have. The taxpayers are getting the shaft, and it's just so wrong. I got to agree that it's just true. This issue is just, I don't see why it's so complex.
I don't have all the answers to this either, Gary, but I will tell you that I haven't spent my entire life in government over the last 20 years trying to solve it. So, we really at this point should be a little further on than we are. I do think, however, that, any pregnant woman that made it over the border and their child was born here, that they're obviously, in my opinion, an American citizen, that child. And I think maybe an extension of those parents should be able to stay in this country. But beyond that, just because someone brought their child over here illegally, I kind of feel like those people all have to go back. Maybe they can have some fast track of getting back in.
Maybe. Well, I mean, Jim, but what do you think? Like, you talked about people being born here. So someone was born here.
Yep.
Through someone coming here illegally.
Sure.
Now, the law as it stood before this DACA, all right, was that they were not citizens.
Who
now,
wasn't? If you were born in this country, you're an American citizen.
Calling that the anchor baby, if you will.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
We are constitutionalists here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something. Constitutionally, that does make sense. It does make sense.
Okay.
It does make sense.
Stop right there. Shouldn't you stop right there?
I'll stop right there. We'll go back to the phone.
I'm just saying,
I'm going to go back to the phone. Where do I ever stop? Let me go back on the phone here and see if I can do this right. All right. Oh, I didn't do it right. I lost them.
Did you have some kind of sign that told you had a caller?
I do. I have a sign right there. Wait, let me try this one more time. All right. Maybe now I have you. Do I have you? Have I got you, Mr. or Mrs. Caller? Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit to the illegal argument.
Yeah,
where it's like, we all have a heart and everything, but it's like we don't mind people coming even illegally if they're happy to become an American. But the problem is they're coming here and they don't want to become American.
Sure.
They want to desperately hold on to their national identity.
That certainly plays a role in it.
It does. Something that gets me always is why do we have to call or refer to someone, or why would they want to refer to themselves as I'm a Mexican American, or even more so when they say, well, in my country.
Well, they don't even.
That drives my mind when they say
that. They say, I hate this country.
Well, and they say my country, they mean where they came from. Is what they mean.
Well, they'll fly the Mexican flag or the Puerto Rican flag, but they will fly the American flag.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know that when people came here, as we were growing and building this country, they couldn't fast enough put an American flag up at their home.
Yeah.
Right.
My grandparents came to this country, and they flew the American flag from day one. That was just what it was.
And they were learning the language. They would send their kids to school basically to learn English. That was the big thing. You got to get in there and learn English so you can come back and teach it to me. And they used to have sponsors and people that would so that they wouldn't become a burden to the society.
Right. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them flying their home flag, say during a soccer tournament or something when soccer's not so big here. But everywhere else in the world it is. So if they want to take pride in their team, and run around the streets when their team wins a 1-0 boring game that took 3 hours to play, that's fine.
Yeah, that is about soccer in a nutshell. But when you think about it, no, I don't care. They fly whatever flag they want and be proud of your heritage and who you are. I don't know, but as the caller says, right, call yourself an American. You just came here. You just fought to get here. You took the test. You did the thing. You took an oath. You studied the Constitution. Be an American. And you can be an American from wherever you want to be, but be an American. That makes sense to me.
Yep, definitely. But thank you.
All right, bud. Thanks for calling in.
Will do.
Yep. All right. Once again, it's pretty easy. You pick up the phone, you dial the digits.
I think it's because I'm here, Gary.
I
like calling when I'm here.
Of course they like calling when you're here. I call you all the time. We all call Jim. If you want his number, send me an email. I'll put it right out there.
You talk a lot, Gary, about, I've heard you say it a lot of times about how, you know what, get rid of them all.
Yeah.
It's time to get rid of them all.
Yeah.
And I haven't always agreed with that, but I can't agree with that more than I do today.
Wow.
And my biggest reason for that is, you know, if Obama was saying what Trump is saying now, the left would be standing up and clapping, and the right would be sitting on their hands. And any Trump supporter out there that is happy that he wants to give amnesty or citizenship, or however you want to phrase it, to 1.8 million illegals, I don't know how any Trump supporter could be happy with that.
I don't
But
either.
yet they're running around like, what? What's the big deal? What? He's trying to, you know,
Right.
what?
Well, the thing that gets me, Jim, is the diehards. Like, whoa, whoa, but this is the master plan. This is the plan. Let it unfold. When have we ever been so tolerant and patient
Right.
with Washington?
Right.
Right? When? Now we are, because you know my feeling on that. I truly believe that there are people in the country that worship this guy like they worshipped Obama.
Like that, right,
It's
okay,
like the
yeah.
same thing. It's like the same conversation I had 2 years ago with an Obama supporter I have today with a Trump supporter. God forbid.
Right.
Just because of what we're saying now, I'm going to get 27 emails. You got to support our president. Have faith in him, and this and blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, back up the happy wagon.
I don't not support him right now.
No, I don't.
But
I am
there's,
elated that he is in the White House as opposed to Hillary. Elated. That should be enough for you. That should be enough for you. What more do you want? I mean, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, Jim's 100% right. The party system is disgusting. It's broken. There is no real difference between them except
Right.
on an issue or two.
Sure.
We shut down the government, right? Think about this. They shut down the government, held up paychecks and benefits to military and other people. They allowed the government to shut down with everything that's in the budget. All the pork and the you-know-what that is in that budget. It was just those dreamers that they disagreed on, which to me means they agree on all the other baloney
Right.
that's in there.
Right.
They agree on all of it. They just don't agree on that one issue. So they're willing to screw you, Republicans and Democrats, on every other issue. But that issue, we're going to shut the son of a gun down. We're going to shut it down over that one issue.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make
Well,
you
it's
go...
just the topic of the week. I mean, yeah.
Well, sure, but why is it? To me, that's a huge red flag saying, whoa, the party system's broken. I will never again belong to either of those parties. Well, I never belonged to the Democrat Party, but I mean, I might have if I was born maybe the Kennedy era. I would have voted for Kennedy probably. Kennedy was a conservative. I mean, he would be lambasted today as a bigot and every other thing you could possibly throw at him. I mean, he was for borders. He was strong military. He was a low tax guy. He cut taxes for everybody, billionaires to millionaires maybe at the time, down to the bottom. You know what's interesting about him? I know we keep getting off topic, but he had a very, very important speech about money and the manipulation of it through the government.
Sure.
And another guy talked about that was, you know his name, Abe Lincoln. Had a big, big, big speech about money and manipulating money. And with Abe, he kind of wanted to manipulate it himself, but
Sure.
these two people had one thing in common, as we all know. They were both shot. They were both killed. And very controversial, with a million conspiracy theories behind each one. No other presidents really talked about that. Donald Trump talked about monetary manipulation. Have you heard him talk about that since he took the oath?
No.
No, I haven't. Remember, he was going to make China's money the same, all that crap that he was talking about. Oh, I was cheering. I was so happy about that. And then I remember when he
Well,
went...
you got to hope it's still in the master plan, though.
In the master plan, right.
Let's
It's part
hope
of the
that it's
master
in the
plan.
master plan.
Let it evolve. Let it play out. Let all these things happen. I can remember when he walked in. He took the oath, and then he walked in, smiling and all that kind of stuff. And he walked in because they bring you in, you have a little meeting. And then he was in the meeting, and they were doing all the different commentaries, and then he came walking out like this. I mean, Google it.
They told him how things were going to work.
Yeah, I think that's what they do. I think they pull you
He
in.
was a little sad.
I think they pull you in. They bring a goat in the room. They shoot it in the head or something, and then they say, "This is what's going to happen to you and your family. This is how you're going to do it." What's the why? I mean, I would have been pumped, right? You think you'd be all excited coming out? Just took
Come
the
back
oath.
out
Now I'm
and
back
woo!
out. Woo! He
Let's
comes
do
out.
it.
Very melancholy. Very something happened in there. I'm going to tell you that something happened in there. They go in one way, they come out another. Someone sent me an email. They were wondering if Donald Trump was going to go gray in his political presidency as every other president seems to go in with their regular hair and come out looking like me.
Right.
Well,
You got to think that he's already
think
got
so.
gray hair.
yeah, so
and
he's just
so-
coloring it?
No, he's just coloring
Doesn't
it.
he
yeah.
say he doesn't color it, though? I think.
He's 70 years old, 72 years old, something like that?
He's the oldest,
Come on now.
first-time elected president.
How long has that thing been going gray?
Yeah.
And you're in your mid-40s. Looking
Yeah.
sharp, but
Yeah,
you're in
but
your
I mean,
mid-40s.
this is a tribute to all the great people in my life. You own this. Look, and I'm not anti-immigration at all. I'm just totally against illegals. I'm against illegals being here. I think we should be adding people to our country that want to be here to add to it, to
Right.
become part of it, like the caller said. Come to contribute, embrace freedom, embrace the Constitution. Mesfin, where's Mesfin? I got to get Mesfin in here. Mesfin, Begier, is a perfect example of what an immigrant should be. He's here, he's trying to get involved with local politics, he's a constitutionalist to the end. He is all about it. He'd love to bring some of those principles to his native Ethiopia. He's from Ethiopia.
Yep.
And he is like, when he talks about the Constitution, it's like he's talking about a star. He's like, we always say, why in America do we put so much importance on, let's say, Tom Brady? That's what he looks like, the glimmer, the eye, what you can see in him, the passion he talks with about freedom, because he knows what it's like not to be free. He knows what it's like to have anarchy. He knows what it's like to have rebels come over the hills and kill people and your family.
Right.
And what he appreciates it so much. That's what we want. By the boatload. That's
Right.
what we want.
Well, we have enough natural-born citizens that
Sure.
that don't contribute.
Sure.
We don't need to add to it illegally.
You know what I learned today doing some research for the show is that 1 in 5 inmates in federal prison are foreign-born. So of that 20%, 90% of them are here illegally.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that's a stat.
Is that a stat? Go do a Google search. All right, ready? You do a Google search. Here's a great experiment for you. I did a Google search of illegal immigrants crime stats. And that's what I Googled, illegal immigrant crime stats. And you really need to look to find any of your mainstream media. They really seem like they're not allowed to talk about this topic. Like, can you scream and say agenda any louder? We alluded to that on the phone, too. Like, really, 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 really. I want you to Google it because it's really amazing. Get on your computer. When I did, it took me till page 4 before I could find anything. Now, I think Fox was on page 2 or 3 with an article. But it took me till page 4 before I saw an article from any of the mainstream outlets. All right? And the first one I came upon was CNN, which ironically in the Harvard study is far more non-biased than NBC. NBC was the worst. Harvard did a study. They've actually done 2 now.
Yep.
And I think they did I give them credit. They did the first one. They hated the results, but they did publish it. It was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. They just did another one, maybe a year ago. Very similar results. There is a bias they found twice, and it does lean to the left. And they name out the stuff. It's a great study. You can Google that. You'll find it a whole hell of a lot easier than CBS saying that there's an illegal alien problem in the United States. But page 4 of a Google search had CNN, but still no NBC, CBS, or ABC. I clicked to page 5 and 6. Nothing.
Still nothing.
Then I had to leave to get here to get on. I couldn't sit around the house, you know what I mean? But this is an old article as well. Okay, this is from the campaign time. This is the most recent thing I could find. Okay,
It's from back in the campaign.
It's from back in the campaign. So we can look at it. We can have some fun and see how they wordsmith this through. And I'll blast through it because we're getting close to the end of the show. But this is from CNN. So it says, with a presidential campaign election looming, politicians on both sides of the aisle aspiring over immigration in a battle that shows no sign of stopping. It's a battle. What is the battle? They're freaking illegal. Where's the battle? Some are pointing to a recent case. Again, this was back then. A woman in San Francisco who was killed allegedly by, and it's not allegedly, now it's been proven, by an undocumented immigrant who's already been deported 5 times.
5 times.
5 times. Another sign that the U.S. system is in serious need of an overhaul. But what are the numbers behind all of this rhetoric? So this woman dying is rhetoric to CNN. That's
Sure.
what I read.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Understood.
Here's a look at some stats and what people on different sides of the debate say. 11.2 million. That's the latest estimate of the number of unauthorized. See, at
Sorry, let 'em
CNN,
phrase it however
at
they
CNN, they're not allowed.
Right.
They can't say illegal. It might offend them. Unauthorized immigrants in the United States, according to the Pew Research Center, and it's less than 4% of the total U.S. population. The number peaked in 2007, according to Pew, when they were an estimated 12.2. But it has since 2009 been much unchanged. Undocumented immigrants entering and leaving the United States have come into a rough balance, they say. So I guess we're at an even, we're screwed spot.
Right.
177,960. Number of undocumented immigrants deported last year who were convicted criminals. That's 56% of last year's total number of deportations. So ask someone like Republican presidential contender Donald Trump about this number, and you'll get an earful on how these statistics and others show rampant crime. Immigration advocates say that it's far from the truth, adding that it's important to look at the term, how the term ICE uses when it talks about convicted criminals. Criminal alien. So some of them are, it's a felony to be here illegally, so just being deported
Sure.
does lump you into that, even
Yeah.
if you haven't committed another crime.
Right. Okay.
But that's still a felony.
Sure.
It's still a felony. So it's still valid, I guess. Immigrants who experience even the slightest brush with the criminal justice system being convicted of a misdemeanor can find themselves subject to detention for an undetermined period of time, after which they are expelled from the country and barred from returning. Really?
Apparently not barred from.
I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah.
121 number of people released from immigration custody that were later charged with murder. So 121 people between 2010 and 2014, according to figures from the Department of Homeland Security. That's 1,000th of a percent of the total estimated number of unauthorized immigrants in the United States. So the 121 of them that were charged with murder, let's say 100 of them were convicted. So 100 people are dead, right?
Right.
So that we can have, so that's the cost. That's what I'm reading.
Sure.
The cost of their 11.5 million illegals is 100 American lives.
Right.
That's how much it's going to cost.
That's
Is
what
that
they're
worth
saying.
it?
That's what they're saying.
Is that worth it?
I don't particularly think so.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. 73,655, the number of inmates in state and federal prison who are not U.S. citizens. That's about, 5% of the total prison population. So it's only 5%. How much does that cost? What does that cost? In his big recent push for building a massive wall on the U.S. southern border, Trump has said that there are hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants in the nation's state and federal prisons, and they are saying that that is a mostly false, in quotes, rating. Mostly false. How is that? I mean, it's either true or it's not. If I say it's mostly false,
Mostly
so then
false.
people read that and they say, oh, he's wrong. He's wrong. Well, he's not totally wrong. He just must be kind of wrong. Now, what he might be kind of wrong about is, 1/100,000th of 1%. Maybe that's what he's wrong about. Analysts on both sides of the issue debate, do agree on one thing. There's a lack of good data about this, but how likely they are to contribute or commit crimes depends on who you ask. I mean, this thing is amazing. It's absolutely just amazing. 1 million, the number of so-called detainer requests issued by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement sent to local authorities from 2008 to 2012. More than 3/4 of these were for immigrants who had no criminal conviction on their records. For ones who'd been convicted, only 8.6 were charged with serious offenses based on federal standards. Serious offenses. So maybe it wasn't that serious if you broke into a liquor store, trashed it, and took some, the owner's money.
Sure.
That's his life. I would take that as a serious offense. Maybe the federal government doesn't. So I just keep saying, well, this did happen, but it's okay because. And this did happen, but it's okay because. That's not a report. They said they were going to look at both sides. Have we looked at the other side yet? I mean, have we really looked at it? All I see is harsh numbers about terrible things happening to people, and then sugarcoating and telling me why it's okay that all of these things happen.
Right. They're basically, they're minimizing the problem, which is what that side is going to do. CNN is what you said this report was from, right?
Yes, it
So
was.
they're going to minimize that.
Yep.
But you could probably tie this kind of thing into your Second Amendment with gun control, because very similar, maybe even smaller numbers exist with death through guns when you couple the amount of guns that are in this country for
Sure.
the deaths. But
So-
isn't that some sort of epidemic?
So you want to
From
compare?
CNN?
So you want to compare?
I'm just, listen,
We-
I'm
we-
just throwing it out there. Guys.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You want to compare a federally protected right of a United States citizen to the acts of illegal aliens, and then somehow equate that twists around and we should just let them all stay because we want to keep our guns.
Well, I'm saying that the left is making the argument
Yes.
that this is small potatoes, but at the
Yes.
same time they would make the same argument that guns is a ginormous
Well, it is.
issue
Now-
with more likely than not smaller numbers.
Absolutely
per
smaller
capita,
numbers.
per capita.
Absolutely smaller numbers of death. But like I said, one is a right of every American citizen.
Agreed.
Period.
Valid argument.
So the other
I'm
side.
with you. I'm with you.
We could be in that moment again. I just stop again. It's like George Costanza. Once he told a good joke, he just walked away. He's going to walk away. We don't have a ton of time, so what we're going to do is we're going to get back on the phone and see who we have got. Good evening. You are on the Freedom Network.
Good evening, guys. How you doing? Sorry for calling so late. I
That's
know
okay.
you're about ready to close shop, so I'll be real quick.
I gave you about 4 minutes or so. Go ahead.
Two items. I saw a comedian a few weeks ago, and he happened to be African American,
Yep.
saying about presidents aging, and he was saying, "What's up with Obama?" He said he came into office looking like Bruno Mars, and he left looking like Morgan Freeman.
That's pretty funny.
It obviously does age you. Now, the other one, and you may need to do a little homework on this one,
Sure.
visas.
Yeah.
I have been told that the visa overstays are 42% of them have overstayed.
Could be. I don't know that I'd
Why
inherently
don't we
argue that.
enforce that one?
Well, I think that what you got to do, to be honest with you, is when it comes up, because we know when the visa is coming up. And I think that we should just, at that point, as it gets close, kind of maybe reach out to these people and say, okay, so your student visa's up. It's
Or your
coming
work-
up
or your
in
work
December.
visa's up, or-
Or your work visa's up. It's coming up in December. What were your plans? Were you applying for an extension? Were you going home? What's up?
Yeah.
I guess would be, a pretty cheap way of at least, I'd probably get rid of 30% just because I don't think that they're all bad people. And I think they'll do I think human beings are like water. We take the path of least resistance. That's what we do. If we put a little resistance there, what would Mitt Romney say? Maybe they'll self-deport, Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't say they're bad people.
Right.
I just say that laws are laws,
Right.
and when you have X amount of years on that visa, at that point we should tell you goodbye, or do
Or there's a
something
or,
with it,
or,
not just-
or potentially
not
there's
just
a
look the other way. We look the other way on too many things.
Yes.
Enforce the laws. Period.
I see. The way I see it is, I don't want to see squads in America running around, Nazi style. Where are your papers? That I don't want to see.
Right.
But I think that we come in contact with these illegal aliens on a regular basis, and we have to move, like the caller says. That at that point, that's it. They go from there. That's it. They go to a court in the city where they even have night courts. They are just legitimized that they are here illegally,
Yeah.
and then they are gone right then. Goodbye. That's it. It's over. Does it sound heartless? Yeah, but I think it's pretty heartless to kill somebody drunk driving. That's
Right.
heartless too, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, anything else you want to wrap up with,
No,
caller?
I just wanted to say good show, and thank you for taking my call. Have a good night.
Absolutely. You too.
Good night.
Bye. Great job. Some great callers here, huh? Tonight, very smart people are here on the network. Well, I mean, we're getting there, Jim. But, didn't Trump offer to give these folks amnesty, though, and a path to citizenship, like you said? And what the hell was Nancy on TV for all day then? Did the Republicans not stick that in the bill? I had a very busy day. It was my first day back to work after 4 or 5 days off. I
Working
wasn't
hard down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was working real hard down in New Orleans. I was going to do all kinds of stuff and bring videos back, but there's just no way I could do that.
For the record, I was his late night ride.
Yes,
Just want to throw that in there.
this is true. He was the one I was texting.
Yeah.
No, we're still
sitting
on the
here.
tarmac.
Still sitting.
We should be out of here in a minute. No, we're not out of here yet. Yeah, it just kept on going. But, both Obama and Clinton talked about tighter borders. Everybody talks about tighter borders. Trump is talking about it with wanting to put some action in it. I got to say, this is one of the issues. I tell you, when I disagree with Trump, I'm going to say he's spot on this. But I was, again, not so happy like you were when I thought there were
When
only,
he's
first of
willing
all,
to trade,
800,000 dreamers.
Right.
How did it go to 1.8 million?
Yeah. Well,
See, that's what
it
I
must
mean.
be the extension.
Folks,
it must be the extension of it.
It's just the dirty politics. That's what it is, and unfortunately, they're all involved in it. Yeah. It's all about the deals and the wheels. Jim, thanks for being here.
No, thanks for
on the
having me,
Freedom
Gary.
Network. I should be back next week, no problem, God willing. Until then, stay free.